Hi, friends.
Hi.
It's that time. It is time to talk about love, friends. I am here with my wifey, one of my greatest loves in my life. Oh, yay, here comes another one. Kenlyn is coming on camera with us. We're going to add her. This little love fest.
Hi.
Kenlyn! Oh my god.
Hi. Oh, I know, right? It doesn't feel right.
Wow. So, friends, we are coming live from Swami Blue Rassman here in North Home. There's a little bit of an echo, so I'm going to put earbuds on that might help us. For those of you who follow along, I'll wait for the earbuds here. Hello, Neil. Oh, Sheena, beautiful, welcome. What a perfect, let's talk about love to have you.
Oh.
Okay, so is the echo gone? The echo is gone. Good. Yay. So welcome, friends. We are here at Amora's home in a very special vortex of love that is here in her bedroom. This is the altar for her god dog, Swami Blue, who is now in the Bardo. And our dear friend Kenlyn is with us. Kenlyn and Amora and I just have been in in the love portal, really. We've been crying a lot. We've been learning a lot about the truth of who we are. We've been learning a lot about soul contracts and being part of a soul pack. And it's really been the transition of Swami Blue, who is 17 and a half years old, 2 weeks ago today, that really opened this portal. So is there anything you would like to add?
Well, the tears are flowing as they have for the last few weeks. And wow, I mean, I could not have done it without these two women here with me. So first I want to say thank you. And Kenlyn, thank you. Thank you for being...
Can you hear me okay? Because I'm here.
Yes.
I have a lot of feedback, so I'm just going to pretend like I don't hear the other feedback.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
Sorry.
you guys, I wish I were there.
Yeah. Well, it feels like you are.
I am. Yeah. It,
Do you have something you'd like to add about, really, Kenlyn is the one
Sorry, I'm listening to myself twice.
I know.
It's been a most profound 2 weeks, actually more, because we were preparing for her passing for so long, and it's death is such an incredible teacher, and I feel like there's so many gifts in it at the same time as cracking open and breaking open and feeling our hearts in my heart. And I love her so much. I can't believe I'm not going to see her fuzzy little body. And I also know she's doing some amazing work in the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know it's been such a process of like feeling the deepest grief I think I've ever felt. And at the same time, experiencing the greatest gift from her passing, all the beauty that of my life. So, wow.
I think Kevin, we're getting feedback from your computer. You may be on your phone and your computer, or once you go on headset, then the feedback stops for us, but probably starts for you. So bear with us on the technical.
I think it's a little bit better. Yeah, it's a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Good. So some people, if you're just joining in this conversation that's been going on for the last several months now, every Sunday, most Sundays we're getting together, we're talking about love. And it's really an exploration. And if you're new to this, you might be saying, well, what does death have to do with love? Well, I feel like what does a dog's passing have to do with love? And it has everything to do with love. It has been the gateway to the greatest love and the greatest teaching. It's literally called all of us soul sisters. We have a kind of a wifey tribe of women who we all take care of each other, and we've all been, on a personal development path and on a spiritual path and on the path of coming to know ourselves and becoming whole and healing our hearts and our lives for 20 years. Some of us walking the whole time together, most of it, Maura and I, and others weaving in. And Kenlin really held the space and set the tone for what was to be in terms of the ceremony and the way to really honor this great soul in our life. And you really want to honor you, Kenlin, for knowing how to lead and for really taking the Tibetan Book of the Dead and rallying all of us into what matters most, in our soul connection, to be ceremonial and sacred about, the sort of transition of this incredible soul from our life into the Bardo and into this other realm has been teaching us about the cycles of life. It's teaching us about love. It's teaching us about the way that we show up for each other. And it's teaching us about, what matters most here on the planet. We aren't our bodies. A great soul in your soul pack is a great soul, whether it be a snake, a dog, a bird, a person. So if you could say a little bit, Kenlin, about the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the practices and what it was that you really created for us. You just built the container, and everyone beautifully, just somehow, it's like we've done this gazillions of times together. Everyone just flowed in. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think it's a great conversation to have because death has everything to do with life. The fact that we know that life is impermanent makes us just live. It makes us suck the nectar out of it. I could say so much about that, but it's they say the samurai says, keep death as your counsel. So know that this is for living the greatest life because it's gonna end in this form and continue on in another form. So when my dog died, which is actually 7 years ago, July 6th, and I was the same age as Maura is now, and Maura and I were talking about this. My dog almost died a year and a half before she died, and Blue almost died a year and a half before she died. So there were some parallels, and when I met Blue, I knew that at some point in that journey, I knew that I would be helping her pass because of what my dog gave to me in the passing. And I didn't know anything. And here's the great thing about it. You don't have to know anything. If we are open and a channel, all the information comes through. So I had been doing Kundalini yoga for about 4 months in the town that I'm in now, in Boulder, Colorado. And she was sick, but I didn't know she was going to die. And when she went for a surgery, and then she got very, very sick with a fever. And when that started to happen, I was in this caregiving mode. And Maura knows what I mean. Like you just are focused on caring for that being. And the night that she passed, I called my vet at 4 a.m, and he is like old school. He answers his own phone, and he said, "Massage her and tell her that you love her." So she only wanted to sit under a tree, and so I was carrying her inside, and she had a seizure in my arms, and I didn't even think about death because I was just so fixated on taking care of her. And when I laid her down to massage her and tell her that I love her, I got like, oh, this is it. And so I started chanting. And my teacher had said one day after class, when your dog goes, I want you to say Waheguru, put your third eye on her third eye and chant. And I just remembered that in that moment at 4:15, and I started chanting and telling her how much I loved her. And and then I got to experience her taking her last breath and exhaling. And I was so incredibly proud of her. Like, I'm like, you did it. Like, to me, traveling, like leaving this plane, I was like, holy shit, you did it. So what transpired from there was pure magic, and that's the setup for what happens for Blue. And what transpired was that people showed up and they asked me things like, do you want to keep her on dry ice for 3 days? And I was like, sure. I know nothing about that. And then somebody showed up and said, do you know that you chant a call for on the moment that they leave their body, you chant a call. It means undying. It's helping the soul remember that you're not dead. You're just, your body is gone. And who you are is traveling through the blue ethers. And remember who you are. And then another friend sent this excerpt from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And so I started ringing bells and saying those things to her. And it was like saying it to her was like saying it to me. There was a wake-up call for me in her passing. So when I knew that Swami Blue, I always like to call her Swami now because she's like, she's in the God realm, I think, like taking her rightful place. So when I knew that she was going to pass, I had said to Maura, I've told Maura, like, these are the things I did and wanted to do them for Blue. But it just worked out in a beautiful way that a friend was coming over and wanted to be with us when she was leaving her body. And I asked her, okay, bring some dry ice and bring some tequila. I learned that from a from a Mexican death burial service. You could just put it all together. So I knew that was my role, and that was probably my role in even meeting Swami Blue Rassman those maybe 6 years before, that I would be helping her cross over. And I consider that to be an amazing privilege. So everything was just set and it came together seamlessly. And you were on live stream, and Sue came and chanted the Tibetan chants, and a monk was chanting at her house at that same moment. It was like the soul family gathered. And that's the other thing I want to say about when we set the intention to make that passing sacred, like whether that is coming into a form or exiting a form, to set the intention to make it sacred, it shows up in the most miraculous ways. And to be in the flow of that is such a privilege. People will call, like, we didn't know you wanted to join on the live stream and FaceTime us. But
I couldn't imagine not being there. When I was taking a nap, I had in a dream, I need to get home. I'm going to need to figure out how to get down there. As you all know, I've been going through a lot with my health, and being able to travel was like a no. But all of a sudden I had this dream and was like, it's time to travel. You need to get home. It needs to happen as soon as possible. I wake up, I turn on my phone, and there's a message saying it's time. Blue's going. And I was like, oh, wait, no, I just decided to travel. I'm coming home, Blue. So then I realized, oh, it's happening. Like you said, it's a wave of grace. It's a wave of grace. And there was no way to not be in it, because we're a soul pack.
Yeah.
One of the great ones in our pack was transitioning, so.
Well, the timing on that was epic, because you had texted right at the moment that it was going to happen, or happening. And so, again, it's like, you can't make this up. It's all in flow. And I've learned in that moment with my dog and with Swami Blue, like never second guess it, just completely go with it. And there are things later that like I think of like, oh, I wish I would have done X or Y or Z, but you know what? In the flow, everything that I need, everything you need, everything that anyone needs, when we ask ourselves to be a channel and we allow ourselves to be a channel of that grace, everything comes. And whether the being wants certain chanting, certain music, certain people praying, I mean, it shows up, right?
It shows up. And so what ended up happening was this beautiful vigil. You know, there was the night that Kenlin just brought us to. And so maybe, do you want to share what it was like for you, the passing?
Yeah. Well, it's such I just feeling into just how grateful I am for this tribe, because I don't think I could have done it by myself, you know? And even the day that she passed, we didn't know that was going to be the day that she passed. I had run into a good friend, and I got, Kenlin was at my house with Blue because I had to be away for a couple hours. And so I got a message from Kenlin that things weren't looking good. And so right in that moment, this friend saw me receive that message, and she came up to me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I told her, "Not really. I need to go be with Blue." And she shared a story with me about when her horse of 14 years, 17 years had passed. And that in the moment of the passing of this horse of hers, it was the greatest gift that the horse had ever given her. It was like the arc of the horse's life, and the 17 years they had shared together were so incredible. And then the moment of her death, this horse's death, was when the gifts started to pour through, more gifts. And something about that conversation, when I drove home right after that to go see Blue and see, assess the situation, the whole drive home, it was like everything changed. And I started knowing that I was going to usher her through this portal, and that I was going to be excited for her to go through this portal. And I had been telling her for months that, she wanted to pass away as she was sleeping. I support her choosing to die whenever she was ready. I'd been telling her that, but I don't think my frequency was aligned with that, because I didn't want her to go. And that was the day where everything changed, when I saw this friend, and I just started celebrating. I just started imagining this moment, and what could it feel like if I could celebrate her as she entered it. And so that was just a little bit of what happened before I got home to Kenlin and Blue. And then Kenlin and I spent the next couple of hours kind of really feeling into, what should we do? Should we help her? Should we let her pass on her own? And I had this dream 3 nights before that was so beautiful. Blue came to me in the dream, and it was she and I, and she basically jumped into heaven. It was this lush tropical landscape, and she just started running free. And I was so scared for her. I was like, "Oh my gosh, are you going to be okay?" And she was just like, "Woohoo!" And then I saw a wild boar in my dream, and I got really scared that the boar was going to get Blue. And in that moment, I saw Blue walking up this sort of cliffside, beautiful place. And I was so worried she was going to fall off the cliff, and she was blind. And so I the next moment I wanted to go see if I could help her from not falling off the cliff. And in that moment, she dove off the cliff with full freedom and flew across this open space and landed on the other side, this sort of marbly, rocky area that was kind of slidey. And she actually splatted and slid a little bit. And I saw that in my dream, and I just thought, "Oh my gosh, like, is she okay?" And the next moment, she kept going. She kind of crawled out of her body and kept going in that direction, which wasn't in my direction. And I woke up at 3 a.m. after that dream, and I just knew this was the gift that Blue was giving me. She was telling me she was so ready. And so when Kenlin and I were there together, we just kept referring to the dream. I'm like, "She's ready to go." And that day she just showed us with her language and her sound, her voice speaking to us. She was not happy to be here anymore. And so we decided it was the day, and things just rolled from there. We had somebody come to the house, a doctor, and she was coming at 7 o'clock. This was at 4 o'clock, basically p.m. that we had made this decision, and so everything just kind of kept unfolding in a beautiful way. And I was just so happy that Kenlyn and Sue were in town, because they both travel a lot, that they were able to be here, and that Heather popped in on Facebook Live. And it was truly probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and also like the most honoring thing that I've ever done.
Yeah, it's really selfless to, I think your what you illustrate is that your attention shifted on that drive home from yourself to her. And that was like something I witnessed, and all of us have to go through it, like the grieving period, and what's that going to mean for me to lose this being. And you had that dream, and so you knew that the time was coming. And I knew, but I feel like I was sort of like, no, I'm just going to let her body tell us. I was ready for the full-on, like, long version, because there's something about it, like, I don't want to make that choice. I didn't have that level of, it wasn't mine to make, and I didn't have that level of courage. But when I saw you afterwards, it was like that drive back home to see Blue was that shift that you made, that it's not about you anymore. It was about her and her journey and her soul. And I remember telling my dog, you're not a dog anymore. You're a soul. Like, go, go, go. You've got this. And I would read these prayers, and I'd be like, sending your rainbow light, follow the bright light. Follow the bright light. Don't go into the comfort zone. Go to the bright light.
Run.
There are treats there.
So this is the poignant piece, we're here talking about love, and this was that evolution of love. And when I say that we've been in a love portal for the last 2 weeks together, our love has been getting upgraded on every level, even within our wifey tribe. And it's unspoken. It was just like we all just went to a new level.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, okay, life just got real. We lost Swami Blue. Holy crap. It was honestly, just such an honor. And so as we are exploring in this life about love, my number one question is, I want to know what love is.
Look in those eyes.
Swami Blue.
Look in those eyes.
This is love.
This is love.
Love.
And making that jump, making that leap from the love for yourself first to the love for the other, to then the love for the big love. It's phenomenal. And love works us. We're getting worked over here.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
These tears are nothing.
Right. I know.
So
well, it also is devotion too, because remember, when we were at Swami's, so we went to Swami's beach and put up a memorial there, which again was in the flow because you guys were doing it, and then I saw you, and I just Ian and I just joined you. That's again being in that life flow. But I love this, gives us outlets for our devotion. We don't have enough of them. If you drive around Mexico, if you drive around India, you'll see these sacred places, little shrines in trees or on the side of the road that have fruit or icons or flowers in them. Sometimes you'll see that where a person died on the side of the road, but we don't tend to, in our culture, to bring enough of that devotion forward. So it's a beautiful thing to allow ourselves to fully feel our love, not hide it at all. In fact, I was on the plane coming here, and I just spontaneously started crying. And the flight attendant came up to me. He's like some millennial dude. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, and I opened my eyes. I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just miss my dog." And it was like, okay, if there's anything I can do, because that's really what happens when we cry in public. Someone just asks us if they can do anything for us. And that links us to humanity in a way that, when you're on a flight, everyone's just sitting there and they're irritated. But to open our hearts and to be real and vulnerable. I remember Byron Katie saying that the worst thing that can happen to you when you cry in public is that someone asks you if you need anything. And I feel like that's my commitment, that every time I have to go into this grief portal, I don't stuff it. I just let it pour through, because it's really just love.
It is. Thank you for that. And that's what I love about this conversation as we explore love and learning what love really is it is the continuum, the full expression, and it's constantly feeding back and forth. So I love how you've been able to do that with the kids. Being here with Amora, and it's just been great that when she needs to cry, she cries.
I've been grieving, like deep, deep, deep grieving, and not holding it in or holding it back. And my kids are here for all of it. And a couple days ago, Ruby said, "Mama, are you done crying?" And I said, "Probably not, but when I feel sad, I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna feel sad, and then I'm not gonna be sad after that, and then I'll be sad again, and then I'm not gonna be sad." And it's just this beautiful opportunity for me to share with them what it's like to feel my emotions fully, and to know that it's okay. And it's through feeling them that they pass. And so it's just been such a gift. I mean, the gifts are they just keep coming. They just keep coming.
Yeah, definitely. And what happened here was, we're going to show you the amazing altar. What happened was Kenlyn and Amora and Sue put Blue on ice, dry ice, after she passed. And there was vigil here for 3 days. And I was blessed enough to arrive here for late at night. I had a huge travel day, and then got in an hour before my birthday, and I got to spend the last hour of my 44th year, which makes total sense if you know what my year's been like, with Amora sitting at the altar with Swami Blue in tears, in reverence for life, for the sacredness of life, for the sacredness of love, the love between us, for the sacredness and the awesomeness, for the way we when we show up in our collective love, how powerful that is, and how it moves a whole community. And so, let's show them the altar. And today marks the 2 weeks. So this is a huge ceremonial moment. You go ahead and show them, Amora.
Okay, so in the center of the altar right there is this beautiful picture of Blue smiling. And that's where Blue's body was for 3 days. And I'll just kind of scope out a little bit. There was a lot more flowers that have also too passed.
Yeah.
So my kids drew pictures. They just did a lot of it. And they added things to the altar. They went around the house and found little crystals and stones. Those are Blue. Those are Blue's little booties that she wore so she wouldn't slide on the floor. She kept sliding out on the wood here. Ruby drew that.
Oh yeah.
And people sent cards in the mail. I mean, Swami Blue's life was known across the globe. These are the feathers of my parrot, who her name was Georgia, and she was my parrot for 38 years. I was the girl with the bird on her shoulder. I took her everywhere. So Blue and Georgia.
Oh, here's her guru shot.
Traveled together. Oh, that's her guru shot.
Pot, just look close.
Look into her eyes. Look deep into her eyes.
Yeah. I love this one too. I love this one. Look at those eyes. But so my bird, whose feathers are here, and Blue had many years together, and so I put some feathers of hers on Blue's altar, and just flowers and Blue's fur. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got some fur to save, and this is Blue's ashes. So it's pretty actually.
Her paw is gonna get planted.
Those are flowers. This is amazing to hold. I come here and just sit with these because it's the remnants of Blue's body, and I can feel it's just a beautiful feeling to feel her vibration and essence.
The weightiness.
Yeah. So, and candles and all the good things. So I'll put that back.
So can we just send her some rainbow light as we're talking to her
Yeah.
about her? You know, she's, according to the Kundalini tradition, which is not the Buddhist tradition, but everybody has their stories, and it's great to track the people who went into altered states of consciousness and came back with information around what happens to our soul after we die. And in Kundalini Yoga, they say that it takes 17 days to cross the electromagnetic field of the earth into the blue ethers. And there are layers of blue ethers. And there is where you decide your next incarnation. And so, and then to the Tibetan version, it's somewhat similar. It's the bardo, the places in between. So you're in this in between state, which we're in so many in between states in life that Trungpa Rinpoche said that life is a bardo, that we have these bardo states. And these in between states are the states where we choose the next incarnation. And they say, like, choose wisely, because just as in life, our mind we get these, I think they're like tests. We can go into these realms where we can follow a very familiar energy, or we can follow the energy of brightness. Now, it's like brightness is kind of like jumping into a cold lake. You know, you might like go like that, or like be shocked, but it's that energy that we want Blue to follow. So let's just send her this rainbow light. Think of a rainbow and all the colors of the rainbow, and then just project that out from where you are through the electromagnetic field of the earth, through all the levels and densities, the clouds, like see it just going out into the ethers, and finding Swami Blue out there, her essence and her energy, and surrounding her with that rainbow light. As she chooses whether she stays in the God realm or comes back as a bodhisattva, but that it be the highest expression of her soul and the next level of what she's here to do, who she's here to be, and that may all beings benefit from her choice.
Thank you. So now,
Thank you, Kenlyn.
Yeah.
we have a brand new sage. This is very special Ojai sage, hand-picked and delivered to me by my dear friend Andrea Brooks, Sonic Butterfly. And so this is a new day, the next level of blessing, you know, for Bluesies. I love you, and I'm just so grateful that Blues love will continue through all of us, and it's upgrading our love in the way that we love and we live and we embrace the truth of who we are in this life. So thank you, Bluesy. Here you go. And we'll just clear the space for the next phase as Blue runs towards the light. Yeah. Yeah, so thank you everyone for just continuing to hold that vision of Blue running towards the light. This sacred space here, always being an anchor and reminder of the power of love and of truth and of sisterhood, soul family, soul pack. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Kenlyn. Thank all of you that are here. Thank all of you that supported me during this process. And yeah, I just feel so grateful.
Yeah. Blessings.
Thank you. Thank you, Kenlyn. Thank you for leading us through this portal. And, you know, I really hope that for all of you that this this experience and the sharing of this experience weaves into your life, into the way that you take each step in your friendships and your relationships with your animals, to the next level of sacred, to the next level of love.
Mm.
Blessings. More soon. Thank you. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.